as long as you have a desire and you know what the outcome is that you want, you can persevere and you can overcome anything. Welcome to Spiritually Hungry. Tonight, we're going to talk about how identifying our intentions can change every facet of our lives. So you can take notes. I really want you to think very specifically about your life, what you want, as we start to talk about the different ideas. So the first area we want to talk about is the power of intentions. I shared yesterday that goals are different than intentions. Goals are things that we set out to do. They're things we desire. But the thing with goals is that we can get so fixated on a goal that we lose our flexibility, we lose our energy, we lose even our excitement. And you need all of those things to be able to manifest. We also begin to have tunnel vision in our goals. If I only get to this point at this specific time in this specific way, then I'll be happy. So goals and intentions are very different. Intentions are more about things that we both will and that we desire. And it dictates what we experience and what we create. There's a book called The Seat of the Soul by Gary Zukav, and he talks about how intentions are the cause, and then we also have to deal with the effect. So he says every action, thought, feeling is motivated by an intention. And that intention is a cause that exists as one with an effect. In the most profound way, we're held responsible for our every action, thoughts, and feelings, which is to say for every intention. So let me give you an example. Oprah talked about, everybody knows Oprah Winfrey, she talked about how she suffered from the disease of people pleasing, like millions of other people in the world. Who in the room is a people pleaser? Many. I'm a recovering people pleaser. Everybody has this to some extent, unless you're him, but live in this kind of reality where we are a slave to the desires of other people, what they want from us, what they ask, how will they feel. And she said that she would give all of her time, her energy, her money, precious gifts, just not to upset or disappoint anybody else. And I thought this one example was so extreme and really hit the nail on the head. She said that a friend once asked her to show up for her charity. So she flew from Chicago to Spain, got on stage for 45 seconds, then went right back to the airport to go to her show and go live on TV. And she said all of this she did because she couldn't say no to her friend. And to this day, she still has no idea what the charity was for. So we put ourselves in these situations. And I was speaking to somebody earlier today about, why we have the family we have, why we, because families are very specific and unique and beautiful, but also difficult in a lot of ways. And I think often we look at things in our lives as this external thing. But if we start to see that every intention, and if you talk about Kabbalah, it's more like karma or tikkun, everything that comes into our life is an opportunity, but it's an effect of something. So if we looked at the things, our challenges in our lives, and we stopped and said, okay, this thing is happening, this thing that I don't like, or the situation, I keep attracting this in my life, these people, these opportunities, because actually I am the creator of that. Where is your intention? Where is it rooted in, right? So back to Oprah's example, if you're a people pleaser, so the universe is going to give you all of these opportunities to be able to start saying no to people. And it's going to come in all kinds of various forms because you are participating in that. When you realize what it is that you are putting out there, and some of our intentions we're not even aware of, but it's still an intention, you'll have so much food for the fodder, right? So many things to come into your life to give you the opportunity to actually change that aspect and be really clear about what your intentions are. Because again, an intention is the cause, and then we have the effect that we actually put into motion.
So when I think about intention and really is synonymous, Kabbalistically, like Monica said, with desire, I think there's one very important concept to keep in mind. I often mention this, but my favorite Kabbalistic term is Ein Sof, endless. And what that means is that the light of the Creator is endless. It is constantly flowing. So what does that mean for each one of us? That the light of the Creator is flowing into you 24 hours a day, every second of every minute of every hour. Now, what happens with that light, with that energy? Too often, people live a life that is not with intention, or at least not filled with intention. We're scattered sometimes. We're not even sure what we want. We're not even sure what we're doing. Sometimes our intentions are not so positive. Sometimes we're in a dark place. We're in an unhappy place. The light of the Creator that is ever flowing into our lives is going to go to the places that we intend. If we don't have a positive intention, if we have a negative intention, if we're upset, if we're disappointed, what happens is that the light of the Creator goes, and then those parts of our lives become even more challenging. You know, how many times do you meet somebody that they're going through a difficulty and they say, I can't believe I'm going through this challenge and now this bad thing just happened, right? There's this concept that sometimes, chas v'shalom, when a person's in a negative cycle, the next negative thing happens and the next negative thing. Why does that happen? Well, the answer is very simple. Because we are directing the light of the Creator where to go. And if an individual is either unintentioned, which means not particularly what, when you woke up this morning, for example, did you have clarity about what you wanted to do? Again, it doesn't necessarily mean what I'm going to do from 2 to 4, from 4 to 6, and so on. But did you wake up with the intention, I want this day to be a day of my soul? I want it to be a day that I accomplish within this day, whatever it is that my soul needs to accomplish in this day. Or, like most people, did you wake up this morning without too many thoughts and you did one thing and then another and then another and then another? The Kabbalists teach that it is necessary, if you want to have a life that is ever growing with both revelation of light, blessings, you have to be super intentioned. As we said, when you wake up in the morning, throughout the day, not just going through life, but directing precisely to the degree that you can, where that ever constant flow of the light of the Creator becomes manifest for you. And as I said, this for me, when I think about intention, is the fundamental thought or Kabbalistic teaching. The great Kabbalist, the Maharal, uses the example. There's two ancient words that he uses. One of them is chomer, matter, or energy, we can call it, and tsura, form. And as we understand that, as we said before, the light of the Creator is ever flowing through us. The chomer, the energy, the light is flowing. We are giving it form. So again, if you're sitting here now, or our friends who watch us in the future, or anytime today, you were sitting for half an hour and you were just down, upset about this or about that, in that half an hour, you took the energy, you took the chomer, and the form that you gave it was unhappiness. That energy of unhappiness is now yours. Every minute of every hour of every single day, we are taking energy and giving it form, taking chomer and giving it tsura. And therefore, we have to be so awakened, intentioned about where we are focusing our intention. Because, sometimes we make the mistake of thinking, I know when the important times are. And when the important times are, I'm going to show up. But then there's the rest of life. And we allow either the mind or the intention to, as we said before, either be dispersed, not focused, or worse, focused on negativity. Once you understand, and for me, this was and is a life-changing thought. Every single second, the endless light of the Creator is flowing into me. Every single second, I am deciding what form that energy is going to take. If I'm happy, if I have the intention to be happy, if I intention to live a moment of my soul, an hour of my soul, then that energy is now soul energy, is light energy, happy energy. And that will flow with me and continue with me always. Conversely, if you're either unintentioned, and what happens when you're unintentioned? Then the energy, then the light of the Creator that is ever and constantly flowing through you becomes unfocused energy. And then tomorrow you'll be that much more difficult to focus. And if today, as we said, you are unhappy for that hour, you'll be that much more difficult to become happy because you just took the energy, that chomer, and you created the tzura, the form, and you said this is either heavy, unintentioned energy, or worse, negative energy. We decide every single moment, every single day, what form the light that is flowing into our lives all the time is going to take. You really understand that. And it's one of these Kabbalistic teachings that is tried and true. I promise you. If you live one day with intention, knowing the consequence of every moment of that flow of light into you, that you decide what form is going to take, you will see that the next moment and the next hour and the next day becomes lighter, becomes more light-filled, the more intention you invest in every single moment.
The next idea we want to talk about related to intention is that the strongest intention wins, which means that, again, intention is a combination between desire and will. So wanting something isn't enough. You need to follow it up by action. So let's look at the example of a relationship that might not be working. The intention is to work on the relationship. How we decide to go about that sets the intention, right? So you have an intention, but the steps you decide to take sets the intention. So for instance, if somebody wants to improve their relationship, that's the intention. They might decide to see their partner in a different light, to change their perspective, and then thereby change their experience. If they decide that they don't really want to work on the relationship, they might become restless. They might start looking at other people, desiring other people, and then eventually that will manifest and somebody else will come in their life, perhaps. Somebody who isn't really sure what they want. They know the relationship needs to change, and on some level they want to improve it, but subconsciously they might not want to. The strongest intention there will win. And then you have something that Gary Zukav calls the splintered spirit, which is somebody who isn't really in touch with themselves. They don't know what they believe. They don't know what they desire. They don't know what they want. The energy of their desires and their actions, nothing's really lining up. When we look at our intentions, it's so important to know thyself. A lot of people go through life and navigate life not really knowing who they are. One of the biggest deceptions that occur in life are self-deception. Nobody sets out to lie to themselves, but very often if we don't go through that path of self-discovery, we start telling ourselves lies. And even if we have good intentions, they aren't able to be manifested or seen. It's kind of like if you have light shining through a window pane, suddenly now you see all those dust particles that always existed. It's the same thing that when the light enters our lives, when we have a spiritual pursuit, we're able to see those negative things that are in us that we might be lying to ourselves exist. So we can't really be clear of our intentions, even if they are good intentions, because there's something else happening. So knowing thyself is one of the hardest things, but one of the most worthwhile things that we can do. And it's something that you can't really skip in a lifetime. At some point, whether you're 40 or 50 or 70 or 80, you get to that place of who am I? What life did I live? Is it the life that I was meant to live? Nobody skips that beat. So I would encourage everybody to see what your relationship you have with yourself is like. Again, if you don't have intentions, by the way, any road's going to get you somewhere. You're going to end up wherever. You kind of just navigate through life, just, oh, I'm here now, and then I'm there. And I remember my high school years were very much like that. Everything was kind of new. You're introduced to a lot of different things, music, other things. I have kids, drugs. Yeah, you have other things that you're introduced to all the time. And you kind of just go with whatever the flow is. And I remember at some point in my junior year of high school, I was looking through my childhood album, and I started crying. I started crying by the image of me as a child, because I felt so far from the essence of my soul. I felt so far from who I knew my soul to be. And I was taken aback by that emotion, because it's not something that I realized had even happened until I found myself crying over the little girl, right? So if we don't know what our intentions are, we don't know where to go. It's kind of like having a lot of information, right? A lot of wisdom. And if you don't actually apply it to your life, it's like a soldier who doesn't have ammunition. Where are you going with that? One of my favorite stories I shared once before, it's about Julian Kopesky. She was on a flight in 1971 across the Amazon in Peru, and the plane went down. And all of the other 91 passengers, including her mother, died on that flight. She got shot out of the plane, still on her chair, buckled in. She landed in a canopy of a tree, and then eventually she fell to the ground. She had broken a collarbone. She was in great despair, obviously losing her mother. She had an open wound on her leg. She was scared. She knew what was out there in the Amazon, but she also was armed with something that most people, any actually average person, wouldn't have. She had knowledge. Her parents were zookeepers, and they had taught her a lot about how to survive out there in the Amazon. So she knew that there were snakes that were camouflaged like leaves, and she knew that they were deadly spiders, and she could recognize all of these things. There were also maggots in her open wound. And even though she was terrified, she grabbed a few things and she set out. And she decided to walk through water because she realized that she had a better chance of survival. She knew to go in the deepest parts of the water because the piranhas were in the shallow water. And yes, there were alligators, but alligators don't really bother people like snakes do. So she had all this information and she kept going. She also knew from her father that water runs down. Wherever the water is running down to is where you're going to find people. People will go where the water is. So she followed the water downstream, and her wound got worse and worse, but she was armed with knowledge of herself. Her father had taught her that as long as you have a desire and you know what the outcome is that you want, you can persevere and you can overcome anything. And again, when we think about intention, where are we with that? Do we really know what we want? Do we know where we want to go? For her that day, it was survival. She was grieving. She was injured. She was scared, but she wanted to live, right? So her intention was that. That was everything. Where are we in that part of life where we know what our end game should be, what we really desire? So back to Juliana, she went and she found a hut. And she found petrol and she put it into her wound where the maggots were, because that is very painful, but it also is healing. And she kept walking on, and eventually she found people in the wilderness that then reunited her with her father. So I think the mistake that we often make is when we consider intention, we think about what I intend for today. What's my intention for tomorrow? What is it for the next? It's very much dependent on how we feel in that day. This day, I feel like doing this. That day, I feel like doing that. I think when we have to look at intention, we want to look at ultimately, who is it that I want to become? Who is it that I want to evolve into? Because when you focus on your becoming and your being, that influences your doing. It's always, one of my favorite tools that I discovered years ago is your to-do list and your to-be list. We have it all backwards with most things in life, right? We live in an upside down world. Olam hafuch. Everything is upside down. We focus on the wrong things. We pay attention to the wrong things when these other things are really important. So our to-do lists make us feel comfortable. I was speaking to a friend just before I came on stage, and he's like, I'm a Virgo and I don't let go of control. And I'm like, I know, but you're not happy there. He's also a CFO. I'm like, you might have to change your career because that's all about control, right? It's looking at every detail and understanding and analyzing it and controlling it, which is fine if you decide that that's one area in your business or whatever. But in terms of living life, right? Living as a person, becoming who you're meant to be, it has to be on a different realm. Your intention has to be rooted, if you want to be happy, in, I intend to be, let's say, whatever that is. If you want to be a kind person, if you want to be a happy person, if you want to be a person that offers unconditional love to any person you meet, then you create the to-do list based on that being, that becoming that you want. So if you want to be somebody that is unconditional with your love, then on your to-do list will be that intentionally, anytime somebody in the next week, right? You can create your list every week, is not nice to you, you're going to be loving to them. You will become a different person very quickly, right? It's very hard, but that intention, right? If we focus on our being when we create our intentions, our doing becomes different, and then our lives become different. So for Juliana, why I love that story is there was nothing else. There was no other focus other than survival. Nothing else. She would have time to process everything else. I think so often we focus on, I need to process this. I'm triggered. I have this feeling. Oh, grow. Okay, that's fine. But if we put just even like 10% of the energy we put in all that other stuff into who we want to become, our intentions will be different, and therefore our life will be different.
As Monica was mentioning, the idea of clarifying, I would use a different word really related to what we were speaking about earlier today, purifying our intention. What does that mean? So again, a very important Kabbalistic teaching, again, we touched on it a little bit earlier today, that our desire is meant to be limitless. You can't manifest a life that we're meant to live, which is meant to be limitless, unless your desire is limitless. Why is it that our desire is limited? And the Kabbalists give a very clear answer. Desire depends on where you manifest it. Now, we all have a whole myriad of desires. Some of them are great. Some of them are okay. And some of them are not so great. The only way to reach the life that we're meant to live with the intention and the limitless desire. Can you imagine, I'm sure every one of us is at a different point in life, but can you imagine waking up every single morning? This is the way we're meant to be living our lives, with so much desire, limitless desire to do, to manifest, and to live with that desire throughout the day. That's the life we're meant to live. The problem is that because consistently we focus our intention, we focus our desire in ways that are not positive, we manifest them in ways that are not beneficial to us, but in the moment we have that desire. That clouds and puts a cover upon our desire and does not allow us to have the intention that we were speaking about earlier. So, there are different spiritual paths, but one of the unique aspects of the Kabbalistic path, which I think is why, for me, it's the best one, everybody makes their own choices, is because Kabbalah teaches us that it's not just about spiritual wisdom, how do I live a better life? How do I connect to my soul? We recognize that anything important to achieve necessitates a battle. There's going to be a battle. This physical world, while the soul is in the body, nothing great or important can be achieved without a battle. So what's the battle of intention? What's the battle of desire? Well, now we can understand. And you can come to a very important question we have to ask ourselves right now. In order to have a greater and growing desire, in order to be able to have the power of intention, to really direct, because again, the life we're supposed to live, the true power of our soul, the true power of our being, is that if I have the proper intention and I intend to accomplish this or to do that and it's coming from my soul, it will be accomplished. I can direct the totality of my being, the totality of my energy in the right place, and manifest what I need to manifest. I think most of us will admit or agree that that is not the way most of our lives go. We sometimes have a good intention, a positive intention, the right intention, but all kinds of things get muddled in between. And the question you have to ask yourself is, what battle am I fighting for desire? What are those aspects of my desire that I am truly fighting against today, tomorrow, the next day? If you're not battling any desire, there's no way you will achieve true intention, powerful intention, and true and limitless desire. That simple. It's not just about being good, being better, sharing, being a kind person, being a spiritual person. All those things are great. But the true manifestation, the true power of intention can only be realized to the degree that we're fighting. Fighting the negative desires, fighting the negative intentions. And again, I think if a person says, sometimes you have these conversations and a person says, well, I don't really have any negative desires. That only means that you're not aware of them. But they're there. And as a matter of fact, they're directing a great part of the rest of your life. The only way to get to live with a limitless desire, which is our right, which is the purpose for which we came. As we said before, we are meant to wake up every single morning with a burning desire, with clear intention, and being able to manifest that intention. But the only way to do that is if we're battling to focus, purify, and elevate our desire. There has to be a battle in order for there to be great tension and desire. So what I would ask every single one of us is look deeply inside. But what part of my intention, what part of my desire do I need to battle? Because commensurate, equal to the amount of energy that I invest in that battle, the amount of powerful desire and powerful intention to manifest that I will have in my life. Anything else will be, you can live an okay life. You can even live a life with blessings. But we know that our soul came into this world not just for better and better, but for limitless desire, power of intention to be able to manifest. The only way to accomplish that, and the only way to both clarify, sometimes you speak to people, and often people come to Monica and myself and say, I want to find out, I want to know what it is that I need to desire. I want to know what it is that I need to put my intentions towards. And of course, there are many other ways, and we've shared some of them. We will share a few more. But really, you want to know the secret to be able to have limitless desire and power of intention that manifests? Battle. And ask yourself the question, what not healthy intentions do I have? What non-healthy desires do I have that are not coming from my soul, that I know are coming from my ego? I just let them be. They come, they pass, and then I try to do the work of the soul. It doesn't work that way. Again, that is not the path that will allow us to achieve the ultimate desire and power of intention. And therefore, the question, secret, is to ask consistently, what intention, what desire am I fighting today? And that will automatically lead to a power of desire that is limitless and to a power of intention that can manifest without limit.
And the third idea connected to intention is that the creator aligns with your intention. In the Zohar, it says that there's no good intention that's lost before the creator, the creator treats even the things that are unfulfilled as if they already happened, which makes me feel good because sometimes I intend to do something and I'm like, is this the right time? Should I do it? Should I not? So that's comforting. But how in a world
if I could just add,
yes, please do.
But
always.
I just want to, again, we don't have to do a round of applause, but I just want everybody to know Monica has really been feeling really unwell the past few days. And the fact that she showed up, I was very impressed. The fact that she showed up tonight, she showed up yesterday and the day before. So I just wanted to share my appreciation for Monica going the extra mile when she's not feeling well to share with all of us. Well, thank you.
I didn't expect that. Thank you. If you ever want to know if I don't feel well, I wear red. Just, you know.
Not always.
Mostly, yeah. If I'm tired. Anyway, thank you. But that's not the point. How in a world where we place the value on the wrong things do we make sure that our intentions are aligned with the creator? It's one of the most difficult things. There's a poem that I love by Hans Ostrom, and it's called First Place, Last Place. And he talks about how we go in a pursuit of achieving and collecting medals, and then we win a trophy and we put it up on our mantle and we appreciate it until we don't, and then we don't even care about it. And we don't even think it's important anymore. And then when a person leaves this world, somebody throws it away. It ends up in a landfill. And then the silver arms of the trophy are then gracefully broken down. And it's a sobering poem because so many times in life, we place such emphasis and energy on these things that we think are important, that will make us happy, only to not be that. Psychologist Matthew Killingsworth said, nothing material is intrinsically valuable except in whatever promise it shows up to be valuable to you or bring happiness to you. So what are the things that we pursue that actually don't bring us joy or fulfillment, that are not really aligned with the essence of our soul? And again, especially I think in the world today, it's so easy to get caught up in the rat race. That's important. This person's getting attention. This one has so many followers. I must do that because that's what's popular now. You can waste a whole life pursuing exactly that. What's really important is to be able to tap into the essence of your soul and be able to tap into how you can make a difference in the world. There's something called the 7th generational principle. And that is, whatever you do today, how will it help 7 generations from now? How will it impact those generations? And the truth is, if we're being honest, nobody really thinks about that. What we're thinking about is, how is what I'm doing today going to make me feel better tomorrow? How is what I'm doing today going to make me happier a year from now? We're not thinking about 7 generations from now. So we start to align our intentions and our desires with our soul, we're going to live a very different existence. It's going to be one where our legacy, our energy will be eternal because now it's tapped into something greater than ourselves. Whatever our intentions are, I think ultimately, and for me, I don't know, for whatever reason, it's becoming clearer and clearer in my life now that whatever I'm doing today, tomorrow, whatever energy I'm putting out there, it's not really for me anymore. It's more about how, when I'm no longer here, how will that influence the next generation, And in a nutshell, honestly, we've talked about a lot of things tonight, but in terms of intention, if we put ourselves in the position of being something that is just light, just energy. I mean, look at this grand chandelier behind us, right? It's emitting light. That's its only job, is to light up this beautiful room. And if we didn't have it, we'd be sitting in the dark, we'd be uncomfortable, you wouldn't really be connecting. If we could look at our lives as, how can my light shine upon anything that comes into my existence or my experience? If that was our only focus, we would find ways to go above and beyond. Our intentions would be aligned with our soul's purpose. And for me, I think that's the ultimate thing. I want to leave you with an old folktale, because sometimes we decide we need to be something. We need to be a certain being, a certain person, and then we have value, and then we have purpose. And again, it's another way that we miss why we're here. It's a really simple story. It's a story about 2 buckets. And an old woman has a bamboo stick over her shoulders, and she's a bucket on each side. And one is a new bucket, and one is an old bucket. And the old bucket leaks water all the time. It's old, right? By the time she walks from one end of the forest to the other to get to her place, The bucket that's old has half the water left in it because it's been dripping out throughout the walk, trickling water. And the new bucket has a full thing of water. And the old bucket turns to the old woman and says, I'm so sorry I'm not doing my job. I'm supposed to bring you this water, and by the time we get home, I'm half full. I'm so sorry. I'm so embarrassed. I'm not doing my job. I'm a bucket. I'm meant to carry things, right? And this, I love this story because how many times do we decide what we're meant to do? You know, I'm Monica, or I'm Tanya, or I'm Michael, and I'm meant to do these things. Like, who said, right? Because I'm this, I'm meant to do that. This bucket decided all it could do was carry water. So she turns to the bucket and she says, turn around and look at the path that I walk every day, from here into the river and then back to the house. Look at all the flowers on your side of the road where you are on this part of my shoulder. Look at all the flowers. It's because you water it every single day and you make my walk so beautiful. So I think if we don't decide what we're meant to do and how we're meant to be, and we put ourselves in these boxes, we can allow ourselves to be so much more. So with intention, intend to tap into the essence of your soul. And then what you create will be so much more beautiful than anything you ever imagined.
Beautiful. I love it. I asked, by the way, yeah, I was debating whether I should share something else after that beautiful story, because I think that's the essence of everything we really want to share tonight. But I will share one more thing. I'll share actually two more things. One is that I asked Monica to tell me what fable she was going to share tonight, and she didn't want to tell me because she wanted me to be surprised, and I have to say you surprised me. That was beautiful. Just one more idea related to what Monica was saying. There are two great biblical souls that we know. One of them was Abraham, one of them was Noah. And the Kabbalists point out that their relationship to the Creator was very different. Regarding Noah, it says, Et ha'elokim italech Noach. Noach walked side by side with the Creator. But Abraham, it says, hitalech lefanai. Abraham walked in front of the Creator. What does that mean? They say that Noah needed support. He would fail, he would fall often. So the Creator had to be by his side to keep lifting him up. But Abraham was so strong in his way that the Creator could walk behind him and let him lead, because he did not need to be constantly lifted up. What is the secret of living a life where you're in constant right intention? We can be like Abraham, where the Creator doesn't need to be by our side all the time picking us up. The answer is found in the story of those of you who know when the Israelites were in the desert. They would travel based on what is called the cloud. It was a cloud. It was called the cloud of the Creator. Whenever it lifted up, the Israelites would know it's time to travel, and they would follow it. Whenever it came down and rested, the Israelites knew it was time to settle down. And every time I would read this story in the Torah, in the Bible, the thought always came to me, wouldn't that be amazing? How many of us would love that type of life? Where no question about anything, no doubt, no fear. The Creator tells you, do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that, follow, go here, go there. To have all of your questions answered. Having no doubt and no fear about anything ever, total clarity and total direction with beautiful intention all the time. Isn't that the best life? And the answer, I think most of us would say, yes, I want that. But think about what that actually meant. So they're traveling, right? Now, they don't know if they're going to be traveling for a day, for an hour, for a week, for a month, for a year. They might get tired. They might say, I don't want to follow the Creator because I'm tired. Or conversely, maybe the cloud goes down. Now, they don't know if there's there for a minute, for an hour, for a day, for a month, for a year, for 20 years. How can you live your life? It's too many unanswered questions. Yes, I know the Creator wants me here, but I want to know now for how long. The reason why we don't, and because to understand that gift of being directed by the light of the Creator every second of every single day is something every single one of us meant to have. But the question is, do you actually want it? Like in Monica's story of the buckets, do you want to be a broken bucket sometimes? If you know that that is exactly what the Creator needs for your soul to be doing right now. Or does your intention for yourself supersede what your soul and the Creator knows is what you need to be doing now? The Creator never reveals to us that which we do not want. If our true desire is to live the life for which my soul came into this world, and yes, it will be limitless, and yes, it will be filled with joy, and yes, it will be filled with blessings, but it won't necessarily be what our ego wants, what our comfort wants, what we, on the shallow level, want right now. I want to rest. I don't want to walk for an hour. I want to stay. I don't want to go. I want to go. I don't want to stay. Then we live with our own flailing intentions. The key to actually living the life for which we came into this world with the intention and direction from the light of the Creator that we're meant to have all the time is if we say, I'm willing to be the full bucket, the perfect bucket some days, and I'm willing to be the broken bucket the other days, if that's what my soul needs to do. And when that truly becomes, and this takes years, is maybe longer than that, to truly become our desire and our intention. But when it does, and to the degree that it does, the Creator will, you will know, your soul will have clarity and direction, and yes, limitless, and yes, blessings all the time. But you have to be willing to make that decision. I really want to live, even when it's not what my ego wants, and even when it's not what my comfort desires. I want to live the life of my soul, the true limitless life for which I came into this world. And when and to the degree that that becomes our truest desire, our strongest desire, all the direction, all the strength, all the blessings, all the limitless light that we're meant to be living will become ours. Thank you.
Stay spiritually hungry.